and welcome to episode 143 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin, and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys have been doing well. It's been a couple of weeks. I don't know, like 3 weeks maybe? I've lost track of time because I keep trying to find a chance to sit down and show you guys what I've been working on, and so far it just hasn't been turning out. But I have some time today. Kira is very quietly doing whatever she is doing over in the other room, and hopefully she stays there, but we'll see. I have a chance to sit down and let you know how my projects are going. Before we get into that though, I want to just do a very quick shop news little thingy. We are about halfway through April, and if you're familiar with my club that goes through the year, it is a bi-monthly, so I send out a shipment every 2 months, and there is no shipment in April, but there is an upcoming shipment in May, so I just wanted to let you know about that in case you are interested. I will post the little inspiration picture up there in the corner, but my theme this year is most colorful creatures, and the May creature is going to be the toucan, and I can't wait to dye the yarn for this shipment because I just loved the bright oranges and lime greens, and there's a turquoise, and there's also like a deep like plummy burgundy brown in there too that I just love, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do for it yet, but I'm very inspired by the colors. And there's still some listings available for that month, and it is also a month where there is a bag option available, and then as usual there's always the stitch markers and progress keepers that you can add on. So if you're interested in trying out that month, you can go to blingyourstring.com. I just wanted to mention that in the beginning before I forgot, because by the time I do my next episode, I will probably already be getting those shipments dyed up and etc. So let's get started. What were my goals from the last episode? I believe I wanted to finish the socks that I was working on for Dennis's mom, and I wanted to get my next pair cast on. I was also working on my cumulus blouse, and I think I wanted to finish off the hem because there wasn't much left, and then get the first sleeve started. And then the only other thing I think I wanted to work on was to start getting some samples for my show, my booth. Start getting some samples done up, because that is something that's on my bingo card, and I haven't done any this year so far. So I'm going to show you what I've been working on, and then also at the end of the episode I think we'll do a little bingo card update, because we are now done the first quarter of the year, so it'll be fun to see what I've been able to accomplish so far. So let's get started with the socks that I've been working on. As I mentioned, my goal for this episode was to have the socks from my mother-in-law done, and I was able to do that. Now these took a lot longer than I thought because I put a lot of my time into another project that you will see in a moment, but I was able to finish Dennis's mom's socks. So I am so pleased that these are done, because I think I mentioned before how I haven't made her socks in years and years and years, and I'd kind of like to get back into that, to give her, like, I'd like to add her onto my yearly list of people that just I know will get a pair of socks every Christmas, and so this will be her first pair in a while. I picked some yarn out of my stash that kind of drew me in when I was kind of looking at everything, and what I ended up landing on was this striping yarn here from a Scrumptious Pearl, and then I had like this little scrap, like it was bigger than a scrap, but it wasn't like a full skein of whatever this is. I don't know what yarn this is. The label is long gone. I probably used part of it. I either used part of it in a project or someone gave me their leftovers. I don't know, but I have no idea what this is. I just really liked how it was kind of like pulled out some of the same colors of the striping yarn, but just a little more vibrant, and I thought it might be a fun contrast. And this is how it turned out. You can see I got a little bit more pooling up here, and then with the smaller stitch count down in the heel turn, and then the toe kind of went into like these little micro stripes. I think it turned out really fun. There's not much more to say about these. If you watch me regularly, you know I make my socks pretty much the same way every single time. I don't venture into patterns a lot. I just have my vanilla sock recipe. I find it fits people really well, and the only thing I usually adjust is my cast on number. So this is like my in my narrow sock numbers. I start with 72 stitches with my ribbing, and then I adjust my rows for the foot. And I believe for her, I think I did 60 rows. I'm pretty sure I did 60 rows because I know I do 65 for me. Her foot is a bit smaller than mine, so I think I did 60 rows for the foot. And there we go, they are done. So I will be putting these, well, first I have to take a picture of them. I have to do that so that I can put them up on my Ravelry page, of course. But then they will be going into my gift cupboard, and then I will be putting those aside until we get into the holiday season. And then I will be putting together kind of a little gift boxy thing together with some treats and teas and whatnots. So those are done. So once I finished those, I knew I wanted to get my next pair cast on right away so that I'd have something to work on. I don't think I have any other pairs of socks. Like, I don't have any old projects, old socks that need to be finished. So right now, whatever socks I'm currently working on are my socks. And socks are my favorite thing to just grab and go, like either to take out of the house if I need knitting, or if I just have a few minutes to sit in it and I don't want to really have to concentrate on anything, socks are my go-to. So I knew I wanted to just pick out my next yarn, get something cast on so that I would have that all set and ready to go. And I was debating on between two people. So my next kind of batch of people that I'm going to be knitting socks for, there's my mom, because it's Mother's. I usually give her a pair for, I don't know if I give her a pair for Mother's Day or her birthday. I have a feeling it might be Mother's Day. But anyway, they're very close. The dates of those are very close together. So my mom, and then Rebecca's birthday is in June. And then my brother's birthday is in June as well, but he gets his socks for Christmas. So these are the next people that I'm going to be pulling yarns for to make socks from. So I decided to tackle the socks for my mom. So mom, if you don't want to see your socks, I know, maybe skip ahead, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. I don't think it's going to take me very long to talk about them because I just have started them. But yeah, I decided to pull out some socks, some yarn to make my mom's socks. And I know her favorite color is blue, and so I looked through my yarns to see if I could find some blue yarns, and I did find a set. I'm pretty sure this was a gift because I don't tend to buy a lot of blue yarn. I'm more in like the sunset colors, the jewel tones, that kind of thing. So this might have been a gift. But I had this little sock set. So 2 50-gram skeins from Timber Yarns. And I know they're a Canadian company. They might even be an Ontario company. I believe they might even be from Guelph. We go to Guelph a lot because my godmother lives there. And they might be in the area, that kind of area. So I had this little set of 2 50-gram skeins, so matching striping sock yarn. And I thought, perfect. My mom loves blue. Striping yarns are always fun to knit. I'm going to pull this out to work on. And then I wanted a contrast because while I do plan on making some more microstripe socks this year, I have some other yarns that I kind of want to play with. I think this is going to be a big year of getting through my striping yarns that are not Desert Vista Dye Works. I have put those aside. They're in their own little section. And while I haven't done the Desert Vista Dye Works challenge in the last like 2 years, I do think once Kira goes back to school, I'm going to try it for 1 more year just to kind of work through the yarn that I have. I can't bring myself to make socks in her sock yarn without doing the challenge. Like, that just seems wrong to me. So yeah, I have got about 6, 7, 8 skeins of her yarn. And so I think once Kira goes to school the next January, I'm going to join in again just to get through my stash. And then I might take a back seat from the challenge again because her shipping went up, and I totally understand it, but it just makes it more difficult being in Canada to buy her yarn enough for the challenge. Anyway, that was a little aside. Back to my mom's sock. So I think this year is going to be working through my striping yarn that is not Desert Vista Dye Works, and part of that will be pairing it with other yarns for the cuff, heel, and toe. So this is the yarn that I ended up pulling out, and this actually was one of the skeins that I dyed when I did my Muppet socks last year. If you remember, I had that fun striping Muppet socks, and then I really had a specific color in mind of what I wanted for the cuff and the heel and the micro. I did those micro stripes, so what I wanted to run through, and I specifically had like an aqua kind of turquoise color in mind. And I ended up dyeing 2 skeins so that I could pick the one that I liked the best. And this is the one that didn't win out on that little challenge. This was just a little paler. I really liked how the other one was just more saturated and vibrant and more of a turquoise. This is more of an aqua. So this one has been in my stash since last year, and I knew it would find its purpose at some point. I would make something where this would, you know, pair nicely with it, and this is its moment to shine because I thought it just really pulled out. You can see there's kind of like a lighter aqua stripe in there, and I just thought it would pull that color out nicely. So this is what I have so far. I've got my cuff done and cast on, and then I am working it down the leg of the sock. And I don't know if it's on this side. No, it's on this side. I have just started. I don't think you're going to be able to tell, but right there, there's some little bumps there. I have just started the increases for the strong heel that I like to do. And I like to do my strong heel in reverse stockinette because then I get a nice little, if you're not familiar with how I do my socks, if you're a new viewer, I like to do this little section here of the increases with reverse stockinette, so the purl stitches really help me keep track of where I am and like count. You know, I don't have to, I can visually see when I need to increase, and it just makes it so much easier. So I have just started that on this sock. I think I'm like 2 or 3 rows into the increases. But yeah, I think I increase, until I have about 27 stitches in that little triangle section there, and then I'll do my heel turn. I'm going to do the heel turn in the aqua, and I'll be on the foot. And then my mom is the tiniest feet that I knit for. I think she is like a size, I don't know, 5.5, 6 women's. So it's either 50 or 50 rows that I make her socks. I'm going to have to go back in my Ravelry pages and check out some of the other socks that I've made her and see if I made a note on the project page of whether I did 50 or 55 rows. Might be 50. It might be 50 rows. I think once I tried 45 rows and that was just too small, so I think it's like 50. Maybe I'll do like 52 rows just to like meet in the middle there. But yeah, that is how her socks are looking. Those are my next pair that I'm working on, and I'm hoping I can knock those out pretty quickly. There's one other thing that I'll show you now that I really put a lot of my time into, and I have a feeling that after I finish up with this episode and get it edited and up, like this is the thing. This is the thing that I'm going to be focusing on, because after the last episode, this is the thing that I really focused on. Like I put all my time into first, and then once I got to a place that I was happy with, that I moved on to Dennis's mom's socks. And I think I'm going to end up doing that again because I am so close. I am so close. Do you know what I'm talking about? Can you guess which project I'm going to be talking about next? It is my cumulus blouse. So the last time I showed this to you, I was getting so close. I was on the body, but I only had about an inch left of the body of the sweater, and then I had maybe 4 inches, I think it was 3 inches, 3 inches of ribbing to do. So that little stitch marker there is where I was the last time I showed this to you. So that's how much I had left, and then I just had the ribbing. And as I mentioned, my goal was to finish the body of the sweater and then get the first sleeve started. So I was able to get this part done, and I was able to do my little cast off. I don't know if this cast off has a name. It's in one of my like stitch dictionary or stitch technique books, but I really like it because it holds its shape really nicely. It doesn't go all flary, but then there's still enough stretch that it's not like a tight bind off. If it has a name, like a specific name, maybe I'll put it down here, but I don't know if it does. And then the next thing I went on to was the sleeve. So my goal was to get the first sleeve started, but I was actually able to finish the first sleeve. Now, I do like to do my sleeves a little bit shorter, so it didn't take as long as like a full sleeve, but you can see I finished the whole first sleeve there. And you will also notice I have a ton of stitch markers. And this is because I can't remember the last time when I made a sweater that I have made the sleeve pattern following the exact instructions in the pattern. For the last little while, whenever I do a sweater, I just kind of do my own thing with the sleeves. Usually once I get to the point where I'm taking the stitches that you put on a holder and you pick those back up again, I do the same thing every time. I pick up a couple of stitches in the little armpit area here so that I don't have a hole. And then usually it's just every 10 rows. Every 10 rows I do a decrease on either side of that center kind of line. And I just put a stitch marker every time I do a decrease, because let's just say I missed the 10 row mark and I remember on the 11th or 12th row mark, I put a stitch marker in every time, or sometimes I want more decreases, sometimes I want less decreases. So I've just gotten to the habit where I just put a decrease in, I put a marker in, And then next time, like when I move over to the second sleeve, I can just follow exactly what I did and do the same thing, even if I didn't write it down, even if I don't remember. And then once we get to the cuff, I usually add in a few more decreases around to decrease the number of stitches all the way, so that I don't have a flared cuff. So yeah, I just, anytime I thought I needed a decrease, I put in a little marker, and that way I can do the same thing next round. So the other thing that I was able to do aside from that first sleeve is I managed to pick up all around the V-neck edging there and do my the I-cord edging. So I also went in and I wove in all my ends. I tried it on after, did I try it on with the sleeve or without the sleeve? I forget. I think once I finished the body, I tried it on just to make sure things were looking okay, and they were. So after that, I went ahead and I wove in all my ends. So the only ends that I will have after I get this second sleeve done is the ends that are in that sleeve. So I am so close. I am so close to finishing this sweater. And I am so excited about that because yeah, if you've been a long time viewer, you know that sometimes it takes years, especially if I put a sweater down, it will take me years to finish a sweater. And then even if I do work on a sweater consistently, it can take me a whole year to do a sweater. So the fact that I started this at the beginning of the year and yeah, we're about 4 months in and I'm almost done, like I can taste it. I'm so close to finishing this sweater. The fact that it's been 4 months, I'm really happy with that. And of course, this is an item on my bingo card, so that will be another square. So this is the yarn that I am using here, and I am really, really enjoying it. I've been keeping track of the number of balls I've been using because you know I have my eye on another color, and if this sweater works out in terms of fit and washability, I plan on making another one. And this is not how much yarn I have left, like total. But if you remember, I had another sweater that I had used this yarn for, and I ended up not liking, I just didn't end up wearing it, so I ripped that out. So this is the last bit of yarn that I have before I have to start going into what I have, like the extra couple of balls that I have stashed. But I think, actually no, I don't think this will be quite enough to do a whole sleeve. I think I'm going to have to dip in. Should I just dip into a new ball? What would you do? Would you use this up and then dip into a third ball and have that be a partial ball? Or would you just put these aside for something else and just make the sleeve with one whole ball? Because this means I get to use these up, but I'm going to have more ends to weave in. Is that really a big deal? I don't know. So I have to decide whether I just want to use these up and then dip into a third ball, or if I just want to use that whole ball and then not have to worry about cutting all those ends and weaving those in. But I am so close. I can guarantee you that probably this weekend I'm going to be sitting down and I'm going to be tackling the rest of the sweater. And the next time that I sit down and show you what I've been working on, this sweater is going to be done. I'm going to call it. It's going to be done, and I am so excited. So yeah, I am so happy with that. There are changes that I've made to the pattern. Again, it's based on the Cumulus blouse. I have made that sweater before. It's a really flattering sweater for me, and it's an easy knit, but I have made modifications, and I have been writing those down so that if I make another one, I can kind of follow those. The only thing I know I will be doing differently is taking off the sleeve stitches earlier, I think, because in this one, I did all my increases, and then I knit for several more rows without increases for the sleeve, just to increase the area for my bust. And it did end up adding a lot of fabric here. Now it's fine when I'm wearing it, it doesn't bother me, but I think I could just not do that next time, and I think it would still be okay. And then after I join in the round, just add some stitches like right in the underarm area, kind of along the side, to kind of add those stitches in without adding bulk to the sleeves. So when I finish this sweater and I have the whole picture and everything, I will try and go over all the needle details and yarn details and modification details that I can remember. But for now, you can just know that I have one more sleeve to go, and then I will have a sweater done for the year. So that is so exciting. But yeah, that is a lot of where my time went. I really put time into getting that first sleeve done, doing the I-cord edging and stuff like that, getting to a place where I only had the second sleeve. And then after that, I really kind of buckled down on my mother-in-law's socks. So I haven't done a whole lot of other new projects. The other goal that I had was to start at least the first sample, one of the samples that I want to do for my booth for show season coming up. And I did not get around to starting any samples. Now, I did go through patterns and I did find the patterns that I think I want to use for my samples. I did pick out some yarns, so I can show you that. One of the samples that I really want to do are these fingerless mitts here, because I'm really focusing on my booth now on worsted weight yarns, and then also smaller skeins of worsted weight yarns, so 50-gram worsted weight skeins. And that's just because if you go to yarn shows, like every booth, everybody has sock yarn. Like there's sock yarn everywhere. And I just want to try and focus on something a little different. And so I'm focusing more on worsted weight and smaller skeins because they're great for accents. They're great for if you're doing a sweater and you need multiple colors, but you don't need a whole skein of that color. They're great for accessories. They're great for baby clothes, just things where you don't need whole skeins of like full skeins of colors. So I'm really trying to expand the lineup, like the range of colors that I have, and I want some samples that you can do with like partial, like the half skeins. So this fingerless mitt pattern will be perfect because I can use two colors of my 50-gram worsted weight skeins, and I'm going to use this one here. This is just something I have in my stash that I can use for samples, and so it's this really nice kind of peachy coral base with all these fun sunsetty speckles. So I'm going to be using this, and then I will have to dye the contrast, and I really want it to be quite a bit darker, so I'm thinking either like a dark burgundy or like a really dark fuchsia or something like that. So I have like my color scheme for that sample. And then I also want to do a sample using some bulky weight. I want to do like a bulky chunky hat because I have some chunky skeins that I'm going to match up with pom-poms and kind of have like a little hat kit. So I've wound that yarn, I've got it ready to dye. I just have to dye the skein and knit the sample. And I think this is the pattern that I'm going to try out first and just see if it works with the yarn and if there's enough yarn in the skein to make the hat. And if it is, I will go ahead with that. That's what I have in mind. I have a plan, and I just need to start those. So I think maybe this weekend I'm also going to try and dye the accent for the mitts and then the speckled skein for the hat, and then maybe I will have something cast on. So let's get into my goals for the next episode, and then we can talk about my bingo card. So my goals for my next episode. Do I think I'm going to have my mom's socks done? I don't think I will have them done, but I would like to have the first sock done for sure, and then have a good portion of the second sock done. I'd be happy with that. I want to have my cumulus sweater done. I want it done. I want it blocked. I want, hopefully I'll be wearing it, and then I'll take some pictures that I can show, but I want that sweater done. And then maybe I'll be able to share with you my plan, if I can finish the sweater, was to knit Avery a sweater. She has asked me to make her a sweater. So maybe I will be able to share the pattern and yarn for that sweater. Once this is done, I can kind of zero in and try to figure that one out. So yeah, I want to have the cumulus done and plans for my next sweater. And then I want to have a sample cast on. Whether it's the hat or whether it's the fingerless mitts, I want to have a sample cast on and started. And if there's anything else I manage to do, then that will just be the cherry on top. So those will be my goals for the next episode. And let's quickly get into my update for my bingo update. So I will be able to, I think those socks will finish one of my squares off. And then the cumulus blouse, once it's done, it will finish another square, but not quite yet. Was there something else that I was able to finish? Oh, I forgot to show you. I had another thing that I worked on. Okay, one moment. I'm just going to grab it. Okay, so talking about my bingo card totally reminded me that I did in fact work on something else. One of the squares on my card is to weave in all the ends of my granny stripe blanket. If you watched over a Vlogmas in December, you'll know that every December I work on my granny stripe blanket. I try and put the yarns that I received in the previous year's Advent swaps that I do into my blanket, but I don't weave in any ends because my focus for the month is just to get the yarns in, get it done, and not focus on that, because I am someone who likes to weave in ends as I go, but it can take up a lot of time. So in December, I just focus on the yarns and I don't worry about the ends. But because I put so many minis into the project, there's so many ends, so many. So for the following year, I always make a square on my bingo card to sit down and weave in all those ends so that I don't leave it too long. Like I don't want them building up. So that's what I did last week. I think it was. I sat down and I decided to just tackle the ends, and I did. I moved inch by inch by inch. I kind of moved over, like I laid out the blanket and I kind of worked over and up, and then just rolled the blanket as I went until the one side was done, and then I had to flip the blanket over and kind of work over and up on the other side. But I mean, I can't show you the whole blanket, but you can see this is kind of where I ended off last year, and hopefully I didn't miss a rogue end and you guys are all looking at it going, there's an end right there. But yeah, I was able to get in all the ends of my granny stripe blanket, and so I can officially put this aside now until December, when I add in all the extra yarns from projects and any of my advent yarns from last year that I got, I can add in this year. So that's the other thing I worked on. But back to my bingo card, because that's what led me here. So yeah, I think I was able to finish off another square from my mother-in-law's socks, and then I was able to finish off a square from my granny stripe, doing the ends of my granny stripe blanket. So I haven't looked at my card, so I'm not sure if I have any rows, but I'm going to put it up here on the screen now. This is my most updated card, and you can see if I have any rows yet, or if I'm close. I'm sure I'm close to rows. I'm sure I'm close. So yeah, that is what my card is looking like. If you are participating in Crafty Bingo, I hope you're doing well on your card. Let me know what you are working on. And if you are not familiar with Crafty Bingo, I will quickly just tell you that is a year-long challenge. You can join anytime. Just head over to the Bling Your String group on Ravelry. It's very easy. Just tell me you want to play. I'll create a card for you, and you can fill it up with your own goals. So that is what my card is looking like, and I'm pretty pleased with my progress. And there's still quite a bit of squares on there that I know I can tackle pretty easily. There's nothing on there yet that I'm like, oh, that was a mistake, I shouldn't have done that, and in June I'm going to switch that out. I'm still really happy with all my goals. So I think the next squares that I'm going to be tackling, obviously the cumulus blouse, that one is going to be an easy finish. I also want to get, when I was on Spoonflower ordering the fabric for the toucan shipment, I was looking for some fabric for, there's one square on there that is make birthday bags, so reusable birthday bags that I can use for both Kira and Avery's birthdays, just to kind of, again, reduce the amount of wrapping paper and waste that comes with birthdays. And I don't think I'm going to do enough bags for all their gifts. Avery gives me flack every time, you know, Christmas comes, and every time with her birthday, how, you know, it's just so much more fun to rip open wrapping paper. And I get it, but I just prefer to have bags. It's easier to do, and it just reduces the amount of paper and stuff like that. Like even if I use newspaper, like that's still something that has to go. Like, yeah, I just would rather have something that we can reuse over and over again. But the thing with the birthdays is that I want to find a print that will kind of fit both of them, so that I can use them for both of their birthdays. And I do think I found a print that's kind of funny, kind of fun, some kind of cute. And so the next time I place a Spoonflower order for the fabric that I need for my November shipment, I am going to order some of that fabric, and then that will be another square that I can tackle. Is there anything else? Oh, the other one that I was thinking of tackling fairly soon is the abominable snow monster, snow guy from the Rudolph movie, and that I want to make. I saw an image online of a tree topper, a felted tree topper that used the little snow guy holding a star, and what you do is you kind of wrap it around the top of your tree, so it's like your tree topper and a star, but it's not just a star. And I don't think I want to wait until Christmas to tackle that, because it's not just like a little ornament, it's somewhat larger. I think it's going to take more time to really finesse and get to look the way I want. So I was thinking of tackling that earlier in the year. That might be something that I sit down and work on. But other than that, I don't think there was any other squares. I mean, the show sample, the square is for 2. So if I can get the hat and the mitts done, then that is a square. Mackenzie's blanket, I have the yarn for, like that one's going to be, everything is kind of, you know, a work in progress. Dennis's socks is something I could cast on, but I want to do the other ones before that. Yeah, So that is where my card is going right now. That's how it's looking, and I'm pleased. I'm pleased with how it's going, and I'll probably do another update maybe after a couple more episodes. Let's see, if we're in April now, maybe June, maybe right before, you know, the change up kind of thing like that. We'll talk about where I am. So yeah, maybe in June we'll do another update and see how my card is going. But I think that is it for today's episode. That is what I've been working on. Those are my plans for, you know, what I'll be working on over the next couple of weeks. I hope you guys have been doing really well. Let me know what your weather has been doing, because ours has just been so dreary. It has been so rainy here over the last week or so. We'll get like the odd sunny day, but it just has not been very sunny. It's been very rainy. Oh, and we had the eclipse, didn't we, in Ontario? I don't know what other areas. Was it just Ontario? Let me know if you were in an area where you could see the eclipse. Ours was very disappointing. It was such a cloudy day that it was basically completely covered. So yeah, we didn't really miss much, but I think there was other areas that I think New York had a better view. I don't know. Let me know if you live in an area that had a good view of the eclipse. I would love to hear about your experience, because ours was just kind of like, it didn't even really get that dark because it was so cloudy already. So yeah, that was that. That's how things have been going here. I hope you guys have been doing it really well. I hope you're having a great day, evening, weekend, whatever you're doing, and you are working and crafting on all the things that bring you joy. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye.